There are some interesting developments in the union world in Canada this week. I guess I'm betting that many of you are no doubt anti-union and see them mostly as things that gummy things up. I think you're wrong, and I'll get to that. Or actually, what I'll get to that is why I think you're wrong, and then I'll get to what's happening in the union world in Canada. I believe unions provide a necessary corrective to the otherwise real imbalance of power in society. Businesses, the core objective is to make profit, right? So regardless of what their resources are, they are going to use their resources to the absolute maximum possible. So they might try and get as much grain as they possibly can out of their soil, even at the risk of completely denaturing the soil, try to get as much milk out of cows as possible, and try to get as much out of humans as possible, including putting humans, sometimes health and safety, at risk, driving them to the ground from time to time. So I don't really like that kind of society, but that's where unions come in. When the employees band together, they can say to the employer, no, we're not going to let ourselves be run into the ground. And then the employer, there's a rebalancing of the power, right? So personally, I like that we live in a society where there is a better balance of power, where we're not going around having humans run into the ground just because the businesses want to be super profitable. So when they refuse like that, when they say, no, we're not going to do that, that's called a strike. When they band together and say, no, we're not, that's called a strike. And then it forces the employer to have a balance of power, and the employer has to decide how much worth it is to drive our employees into the ground. Here's what can really undermine that, though, which is when the employer just says, yeah, whatever, you can strike all you want. We're bringing other people to do your job. And that means that the business isn't affected at all. And that completely destroys this mechanism that allows for balance of power. Canada has put legislation forward saying employers can't do that anymore. They can't bring in what are called scab workers. So watch for that. This week, I believe it goes in front of the House of Commons, and that will put an end to businesses being able to just say, yes, suck it up, employees. If you don't like it, go home and not have wages. We'll just bring somebody else in. By the way, many of you know I live in Yellowknife, and that was disastrous in the 90s. There is a gold mine, and they did that. They brought in what are called scab workers, and one of the original employees was so outraged by that, they put a bomb in and people were killed. Now, back to the overall thing about unions. I realize I'm using an extreme case where I talked about unions running employees to the ground, although humans can do that to other people. Think slavery. And people do get sick and exhausted on the job. So it's not that extreme of a statement. Anyway, just wanted you to know that Canada is putting in legislation so that scab workers, employers cannot just grab other people and undermine that balance of power. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, a word on leaving a comment. I'm always interested in informed and persuasive arguments, even with my own opinion. But I also give myself full permission to draw on my own resources, my own reading, my own critical thinking skills, and make up my own mind on issues. So those of you who may be tempted to just write off and put stupid comments like Karen or sheeple, or you know all the kind of silly online comments, you can put those. They won't affect me whatsoever, but they will boost me in the algorithm. So if you want to leave one, you're doing me a favor. Watch for it in the news about scab labor legislation coming. There's your out the door money moment on Saturday, November the 11th. No, not the 11th, the 12th. Bye.